what they have to say.
There was absolutely no such thing as the Holocaust. Jews are genetically predisposed to any sort of mental illness.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to A Conservative Confucius here. All right, so let's get down to it. Alrighty, we're going to be covering a little on-the-street interview with Rudy Rochman. Actually, I'm gonna talk about Rudy Rochman a little bit towards the end, and kind of give you my thoughts on some things. But yeah, we'll go over this, and I'll kind of interject where I can. And I don't think he'll copyright me, so we shouldn't have to stop too much or too frequently. But yeah, alrighty. So let's get down to it. Don't forget to go down there, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and don't forget to share this video if you like it. I appreciate it. All right, let's get down to it. And here we go.
Shalom, my name is Rudy Rochman, and I'm here at the 2019 AIPAC Policy Conference. And although most people come to AIPAC to listen to the interesting conversations inside, I'm here also to try and speak to the protesters outside to see what they think. Now, we know there are many different types of groups. Let's see what they have to say.
There was absolutely no such thing as the Holocaust. Jews are genetically predisposed to any sort of mental illness. Jews run child rape rings. That's why Donald Trump is president.
If you touch me, then you're trying to attack me, and I will defend myself.
I wanted to say something before we get into this. This guy does not represent any Trump supporters. This guy is a fringe minority of people who don't even know what Trump's policies are. If they did, I'm sure they wouldn't support a man who's the most pro-Israel president who's ever existed, whose daughter is married to a Jewish woman, who had a lot of Jewish people in his cabinet, not a lot, but a couple Jewish people in his cabinet, and respects the Jewish people just as much as he respects the Christians. And it's disgusting how this man thinks he can label people because of his own beliefs. Okay, so synagogue of Satan, they say that they are Jews, but they are not. They think this is referring to people who are Jewish today. And this is a verse used by the group we talked about, the Black Hebrew Israelites, aka the Black KKK. They use this verse as well. They say that Jews are not real Jews and that they're the synagogue of Satan. And this verse, not only is it applied from a basically just a subjective point of view, their own opinion on this, but it could be then applied to them, because later in this interview, I didn't get to the whole thing, but a little bit of it I did. And he says that he's part of the real Jews. British people or people from Europe, Northern Europe, are the real Jewish people. And this is the same thing that, the Black Hebrew Israelites say, but for them. And it's not true, number one. Number two, you could say that about them. You could say these people who say they are the real Jews, who say that they are they're the ones who are descended of, all these different groups. And they say that all this crap, basically, we could say that about them. We could say, okay, well, you're calling yourself a Jew. Obviously you aren't. And actually, I would say that verse 100% talks about this guy, the Black Hebrew Israelites, and anybody else who's claiming to be the real Jews, when really they're not even close to Jewish. They've never practiced Jewish customs, culture. They don't have any Jewish relatives. None of that. Like, it's stupid.
What would you say brings you out here today? What is your main message against AIPAC?
The main message,
Israel?
well, it's not just against Israel, it's against the treasonous United States government. All the government officials are guilty of treason, and there are bloodline, what you call Jews. The Bible is the history, it's astrotheology, it's many things, but it's the genealogy and history of the Egyptian Hyksos, the Skydians, the Skydians.
That's wrong. The Bible is not the bibliography or genetic, genealogy of the Egyptians or the Scythians. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Egyptians were not Scythians, and they were Coptic. They were people who migrated from basically an area that's just around Assyria and Turkey kind of area. they were kind of northwestern Middle Easterners, and they migrated thousands of years ago. This is like probably 4,500 years ago. Actually, no, it's even longer than that, because they immigrated around 4,000, like 250 BC. And that's kind of estimated. Some say it's a little bit more, closer to 4,500 BC. Some say it's a little less, closer to 3,900 BC. But we can all agree it's around 4,000 BC. And they immigrated, the Coptic people immigrated from the northwestern Middle East, and they came down basically through the land of Canaan, aka Israel, through the land, the Edomites and the the Ammonites and the Midianites and so on. And they came down and went into Egypt. They came into the Sinai Peninsula. They first not colonized that, but I guess you could say, yeah, colonized that. They colonized that land, pushed out any groups that were there, and then came down to the Nile Delta, found a huge amount of greenery and amazing, just beautiful, lush land that was easy to be farmed, and had this amazing black earth that was just so fertile. The dirt is just fertile, and that's why it's literally black dirt. Unlike the rest of Africa, which has this clay dirt, this red clay dirt, which is really hard to farm with. And that's why the land was so valued. And that's why the land was called the land of Kemet. Kemet means black, and the land, it's referring to the land of the black earth, or the land of black, which means the black earth, not black people. You'll hear people say that. And so these people have no idea what they're talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about. I'm sure Rudy doesn't even have much idea on this. He seems to be educated on a lot of stuff, but he really has no education outside of his own purview. And this is a dangerous thing to have, because when you're fighting against people like this, you need to have the accurate information to criticize their false information. And he just kind of lets it go. And that's cool. I mean, he does rebuttal a bunch of things that he says, but ultimately he fell flat due to this not being criticized. I mean, he could have criticized everything that comes out of this dude's mouth and given him a correct answer, the real truth, the historical, archaeological, proven truth, and not just, whatever his talking points are.
Took Moses, the Pharaoh. That's the Pharaonic line, which Exodus out of Egypt.
So now he's claiming that Moses is part of the Pharaonic line of pharaohs in Egypt. Wrong. Moses was an adopted child of the pharaohs, and it wasn't even the pharaoh who adopted him. That's been mythologized through movie. I love the movie Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks film. Amazing movie, one of my all-time favorites, but it completely distorts the truth. He was not adopted by the pharaoh. He was not the brother of Ramesses. He was the cousin of Ramesses, and not even the real cousin. He was the step cousin or adopted cousin, or however you want to put it, because I'm adopted. So, I mean, I always had a love for movies that showed adoption. It wasn't because adoption's great, but I always felt a connection to it. Tarzan. I loved Tarzan growing up. I loved Hercules. I loved, and Prince of Egypt. I loved all of them because it shows, people being adopted, not being wanted, or not being able to be had, getting, basically thrown out into the world, and someone takes them in. And I always loved that. Even though I didn't have the best adopted family, it still connected with me. This bullshit BS that this man is spewing about Pharaonic line of Moses being connected to the pharaohs and being this being this high-ranking, amazing pharaoh, or at least a descendant of the pharaohs, basically is based on nothing other than his own imagination. I mean, there's probably some other people out there who have this and have mythologized it, but it's completely false.
Not Israel, not the land of Israel,
the
but
Bible that had come from Israel before, right?
Yep.
They left with Joseph and
that's the Scythians. That's the
No, it's not.
Scythians. Absolutely.
So the Jews of the Bible you're saying are the Scythians?
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Absolutely. No.
I'm not interrupting your point.
Scythians, I think, not Scythians. I've heard Scythians more than Scythians.
You won't take a picture, okay?
So, of course, the true people of God, the true people of the Bible, are the people from the United Kingdom.
This is the first time.
So the people of the Bible are the people of the United Kingdom. So you're saying that the pagans are the people, or are you saying the Anglo-Saxons that came later, but were also pagans? Are you saying they are the ones? Like, which is it? So you have the pagan Anglo-Saxons or the pagan, English people, or the Celts, the original English people, like the Welsh, the Celts, the Scots, the Irish. What basically Celtic Scots, Celtic Irish, basically the same thing. The Gaelic people. Which are you talking about? Because the UK has a lot of different people, and England itself has multiple groups. You have the Scots were in England because Scotland was actually everything north of what's the city called? I was going to live there. Actually that's right. The Tyne River. Newcastle upon the Tyne. Yeah, Newcastle upon Tyne. Everything above that. So that's like 100 miles or so below the current border of Scotland. All of that was England. The rest was Scotland. So everything above Newcastle was Scotland. So are you telling me, is it those people, or is it this people, is it that people? Who is it? This doesn't make any sense.
So I just
really,
first time.
That's
why
why
I'm interested in
British
having conversations.
Israelism?
No.
British Israelism. So you have British Israelism. You have Black Hebrew Israelites, which
That's why I'm very interested to hear your opinions, and I have also a lot of viewers. Maybe you can explain to them as well, why the Jews aren't the real Jews, and then you're saying the people from the United Kingdom apparently are the true
United
descendants.
Kingdom. Absolutely.
So can you expand more on that?
The modern day Egyptian has less genetically in common than the modern day Western European, which is
what? What are you trying to say? Has less in common with who? The Jews? The Jews have more in common depending on the diaspora they were in and how much their family married outside of their own religion. Like, for example, I have no British in me. Not at all. I have a little bit of Eastern European, but for the majority of me, I am Levantine, Haitian, Greek, and then the Eastern European is like Belarusian and Polish. And then, Sephardic and Ashkenazi Jew. I don't have any British in me. I don't have any France, German, Germanic, Nordic, none of that. I'm not Scottish, Irish, doesn't matter. I'm none of that. Yet, somehow, what is he saying? In common with who? Who has less in common with who? The Egyptians have less in common with the British, the Jews, the what?
UK, Germany,
With the original Egyptians.
Original, maybe not original, but the Egyptians
of the time of the Bible.
Okay.
Those are the original Egyptians.
Absolutely. I mean,
but weren't God's people not the Egyptians? Weren't the Egyptians the enemy of God's people?
Yep.
Were they?
I mean, in the Bible.
He's like, were they? Yes, they were the enemy of God's people. He cursed them, sent plagues upon them. They were everything that he is saying. They were the enemy. They were the most evil of God's enemies at that time.
In what case? Are you talking about when Joseph was basically the prime minister of Egypt?
Okay, so it doesn't mean that God wanted Joseph to be the prime minister of evil. Of Egypt. My bad.
And what was he?
He wasn't prime minister, he was a viceroy, like he said. But yeah, he doesn't mean that his will was to say, hey, Joseph, go down there. No, he was sold into slavery by his brothers. Sometimes people go against the will of God.
Israel in the Bible, right? He came from Israel because he was sold by his brothers, and then there was a famine, and then the rest of the tribe.
Dude, you don't have to tell me. I know the story.
So I'm
really
trying to connect because they came and joined the Egyptians, and at some point over the next generations, eventually the Egyptians enslaved the Jews because they saw them as outsiders, and they were afraid that they might take too much power. And then that's the story of Moses, that they freed them from the Egyptians and went into the land of Israel. So you were saying earlier that the true Jews are the people from the United Kingdom, but yet they're the Egyptians. I want to know.
So where's the genetic?
Yeah, so he said, okay, I get it. He's saying that the real Egyptians are the real. This is exactly like the Black Hebrew Israelites. I mean, this is absurd. This is exactly the same as the Black Hebrew Israelites. They say, remember that they are the real Jews, they are the real Native Americans, and all these other things. So some of them believe they were also the real Romans, the real Atlanteans, like everything. They believe they were the real first, and they believe they were the real Chinese. Like they were the first Asians and everything. It's hilarious. And they'll pull up pictures from like 1700s of a black Asian person. And it's like, your point? Like your point? You don't think people intermarried back then? Just like it wasn't like a 1 in a million chance. Like not, I mean, it was less than that, but like there was definitely a chance, even if it was an extremely rare, very rare occurrence, it doesn't matter. People still intermarried. And it's very, 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 very possible that there was a black Asian woman. These people have no idea how stupid they sound. Like you're saying that they're the real Jews. They're the real Egyptians. They're the real this, that, and that. Yeah. I mean, also the Black Hebrew Israelites also claim that they're real Egyptians. But then they say, but we're not connected to those Egyptians. Those are different black people. And it's like, oh my God. You're making no sense, dude. And it's so absurd that these people spout off this crap and don't see their own hypocrisy. Don't see the cognitive dissonance you have to sit there and spout off this crap and not see the contradictions, the illogicalness of this, just the insanity of it. Like, how are you going to say, yes, we're Jewish, we're Egyptian, we're British, and yet the Egyptians are the enemies of the Jews. The Jews are definitely not the British, and they were actually enslaved in Britain before the Anglo-Saxons came, and they were used as money lenders and other things like that because they weren't allowed to own anything. And actually, most of them were just held in servitude to serve high lords and ladies as servants. And it's ridiculous that we're sitting here trying to say that Jews that surprisingly actually had a presence on England before his ancestors did, the Anglo-Saxons, are somehow the same as the Egyptians and the British people. It makes no sense.
Connection. Well, the Egyptians and absolutely.
The people that consider themselves Jews today, what do you think that they are?
I'll read a Bible quote, and this is from
you can't take the Bible out of context and say, I'm going to read a Bible quote. That's not how the Bible works. You have to read it in context, and it's so stupid.
Of Revelations, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. I will make them to come and worship before thy feet.
What couldn't people?
Okay. So, number one, does it say he's going to kill them? No, it doesn't. Number two, that's what you believe, though. He believes that they should be killed. Okay, so number one, God doesn't want to kill them. Why do you? Number two, where does it say that the people who are calling themselves Jews are the Jews themselves? It says that there will be people who will call themselves Jews and are not Jews, and that lie. That means that obviously this is not the people who have been Jews, called Jews, and have always been connected to Judaism since its inception. Before it was called Judaism, when it was still Yahwehism, which is the original name of Judaism, is Yahwehism. And at least that's the modern way of saying it, I guess is the best way to put that. How is it that you can take this quote out of context, use it as proof of your hatred and your bigotry and your ideology somehow being true, and then at the same time you refuse to look at the Bible verses that the Black Hebrew Israelites take out of context, which is saying that Jesus had hair like wool? Never says that. It says Jesus has hair as white as wool, as white as snow, and he has feet of molten bronze. He has his sword spewing from his mouth on flames. His eyes burn of fire, and his skin is blinding to the eyes. And he's wearing a white cloak with a brand upon his leg that says King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and he's wearing 7 crowns upon his single head. So, please explain to me how not only that is someone describing a black person, but it's someone describing anything that's possibly human. That's not his human form he had when he was on earth. That is his godly form coming back. And then that's why it's hard for us to understand looking at it. That's the whole point of that. And it never says his hair is curly like wool. Number one. Number two, wool in Israel is not curly like European sheep wool. it's straight and very, very thick and fluffy. So it wouldn't matter if it even was, even if it said it was like wool, like in texture, it would still not be like black people. It would be like just a thick-haired Middle Eastern person. Like, it makes no sense. And it's using a double descriptor, a Greek literary term, or Greek literary practice, where you would say, this is like this as this. So, so you would say it, you're describing something twice, and you can use like or as twice, or you can use like and then as. So you would say, this sapphire is as blue as the ocean. It's blue like, the sky. And that's how you could say it. So this sapphire is as blue as the ocean, blue like the sky. That's a double descriptor. You're not saying it's the sapphire is not a solid, but a gas. You're not saying that the sapphire is like water. This idiot has no idea how to read the Bible. He's taking it out of context. And when you do so, you ruin the verse, you ruin the words of God, and you're doing so for your own agenda. And what does God say about people that twist and change the word of God to fit their own agenda? He says they will not be honored in heaven. They will not come to the kingdom of heaven because they twisted and used the word of God for their own means, and that they are false prophets, false teachers that are using the word for their own means. Jesus warns us about this in the New Testament. And yes, I am a Jew. I do love my Jewish heritage, and I practice many Jewish things besides the Kapparat on Yom Kippur. I celebrate all the holidays. I celebrate Sabbath, all of that. But I do recognize Yeshua as the messianic promise that was promised throughout the Old Testament. And there's much proof for that. We don't have to go over that. This man is an idiot. He's using his religion. He's using what he thinks is a religious belief, but it's not. It's his own belief, to justify his hatred of Jewish people, and then blame everything he thinks is wrong with the world upon Jewish people, and say any of their suffering is either false or justified.
Say that's also what you're doing? It's saying that white people from Europe, from specifically United States.
Not white. I'm not white.
What are you?
I'm European, and I come
European,
white.
Aryan, white.
That just means that one comes from Celtic or Anglo-Saxon stock. African Americans in the United States, they also could be considered the people of God, because most black people in the United States have between 25 and 35% European Western.
Okay, so now he's saying that black people can also be Jews, but he's not saying it in the same way that the black Hebrew Israelites saying it. They're saying it because they believe that they're part of the lost tribes of Israel. He's saying it because he believes he's not only, I guess, maybe a part of the lost tribes of Israel, but he is a Jew, and that the Jews that lived in Israel were not the real Jews. I'm guessing some bullshit like that. So he's literally abandoning 99% of the Bible and then picking and choosing his, the little verses he wants.
European genetic markers.
So you're saying the people of God are only those that have genetic markers?
I'm saying that the people in the Bible, I'm not saying everybody's a creation of God, of course. There's one God, he's the creator of all things. There's an adversary of God. The adversary of God genetically, the adversary of God in the human form represents itself in the Khazarian people, what most folks would call Jews.
For me, at least, I've done extensive research on this, and it's been
so stupid. I'm so tired of hearing from, Arabs, from left-wing Palestinian people, these freaking douchebags, the fake right-wing Nazis. And I say fake right-wing because they're not actually right-wing. They're full of shit. And all of this ideology is somehow coming together in this unholy union where the Jews are being attacked by the pro-Palestinian Arabs, the leftists, and the, far right, actual fucking, wannabe Nazis. And they're coming together because the wannabe Nazis have never had the courage to act out. They constantly go out and occasionally say things that are, inflammatory, but they'll never say death to when they march. They say, well, Jews will not replace us, but they don't say death to the Jews. But the left will say death to the Jews, death to Zionists, death to Israel. They'll say all the things that the far right wants to say. And then the Arabs also say what they want to say, and they say so much more that the Nazis believe in. And they have the same ideology. They both love Hitler, and whether they're willing to admit it or not. And they both often deny the Holocaust. And so you have this unholy union, even though that normally these three groups would kill each other and despise each other. They're coming together and unifying under their hatred of Jews, which is probably the most unholy union we're going to see in this, generation. And if it gets any worse, it's going to cause a massive war. I'm talking like world war.
Disproven. But with that point.
But how has it been disproven?
Because it's, first of all, it was a myth that was created to disconnect the Jewish identity.
But
from
you
the
Yep. Yeah, just so you know, all of these. So if you're one of those people that believes that Jews are Khazars and not, they're not from, Israel, blah blah blah. Modern Jews are from, Kazakhstan. Okay, well, let's look into that. All of these articles are now in the links in the description. There's many more than this, and it's completely BS what you've been told if you've been told that.
Jews or ethnic Khazars
Nope.
or whatever sort of thing you're hiding behind are unwelcome guests in America. In this country, I tell you what to do.
Why do you tell me what to do?
Because this is my country.
And what am I?
I thought you said you were British.
You're an unwelcome guest in this
Why?
country. Because of your terrorist activity.
Well, who am I that you're saying?
Are you Native American? Is this guy here that's
I'm not
telling you
talking
to
to you.
cheer for him? No, wait a minute.
So now you have a Muslim woman and you think, oh, this Muslim woman is defending this man. No, the Muslim woman thinks that guy is Native American because and I guess she thinks she's a Palestinian probably, even though she's definitely white, is telling this dark-skinned Middle Eastern Jew that he's Native American because she has no idea what a Jew looks like because honestly, they have no effing clue what a Jew is. They think they're the rightful owners of the land of Israel. So what would you expect them to think? Like they think, they'll sit there and say, oh, Jews go back to Poland. But then you go into Israel and it's much darker skinned than most of, Palestine.
Your premise alone.
No,
Right.
I have
You
every
should
right
be
to be here.
deported back to Germany.
Yes.
Excuse me?
We got more right to be here than you.
In what way?
Why do you
If
have more
I'm-
right
if
to
I
do
am
it?
part
Because
Native
Because we say
American-
so. This is a Western European
So now they're eating their own, I guess.
country founded for Western Europeans.
Right, but like other people have a right to live here as well, right?
No doubt,
Right.
absolutely.
So why does
But we are out here to urge everyone. We're for all people.
No, you're
We
not.
know-
except for Jews?
Well, we don't call them Jews. Imposters.
Okay, except for that group of people.
Exactly.
Why? Why that group of people?
Because they're the
Are they,
synagogue
are
of
they,
Satan.
are they born that way?
The synagogue of
Are
Satan.
they born that way? Can an
Yeah, it's
individual-
genetic.
So,
It's
so there's
genetic.
no way that person could be a good person just because.
So you
they're
believe in
also
eugenics?
cool?
I believe it's pretty
Yeah, they believe in eugenics. You can tell.
clear that Jews are genetically predisposed to any sort of mental
Really?
illness
Where's the proof of that?
causes them not to be able to get along with others, or to be greedy and engage in usury and enslave other individuals.
That makes no sense because Jews invented psychotherapy. They invented psychology. So how is it that Jews who invented the very study of studying the human mind and coming up with mental illnesses, figuring out what those are, how is it that Jews invented that, but yet Jews are the most likely to suffer from that? Are you shitting me?
What should we do to those Jews or those people that call themselves Jews? What do you think is the solution for them?
The solution for that is a fair fight.
So what does that mean?
Y'all mob up, and it's time.
Mob
to be
up?
there.
What is he, a
We're
freaking
talking about the Shabbat,
Yeah,
Lubavitch,
a black
organized
inner city
crime.
kid?
Whatever. Shabbat. They're
Chabad,
terrorists,
not
they're
Shabbat.
mobsters.
Why?
And they
Why?
because they engage in racketeering,
Can you give me
money laundering.
What does he think we're Meyer Lansky or something? Does he think we're all like Meyer Lansky or the Kosher Nostra?
I mean the fact that Jews created banks,
an illegal
right? Or lending? Because
Well,
they
it's
weren't
called
allowed-
usury. It's
because-
called
but you know
usury,
why they did
lending
that?
money at
Because
interest.
there were Jews displaced all over the
Oh,
world.
we got to take all your money because, like,
No.
That's
you
not
won't
how it
do
worked,
anything.
dumbass.
Because they were actually in white society, they weren't allowed to participate in agrarianism, which is owning land. And the way market developed back then is people would grow crops and they would trade.
That's a front, man. Because
Is that
No,
not
it's
true
not.
that during feudalism, Jews weren't allowed to own land? How else would they make money? They created a system of being able to lend.
so we can show this
Sure.
smug asshole
Oh, okay.
like what's
why
going
would
on.
you insult that? I didn't insult you.
Okay.
I'm having a reasonable conversation with you.
It doesn't matter.
But it does
Okay, so
because
you're
you're
just keeping
insulting
an
me.
open mind.
Why do you have the need to
Seeing
insult
both
me?
sides of the-
Here's a fact for you. There was absolutely no such thing as the
And I'm also
Holocaust.
Irish.
You
It's a-
find like millions of bodies and ashes of human beings, and there's
If that
recordings
happened-
and pictures of this happening.
I mean, what if Santa Claus was real? What if there was
No,
really
that
an
is
Easter
not real.
bunny?
That we both agree.
No,
But that's a
no.
straw man
Santa
argument.
Claus. Santa
That's
Claus
a straw man
is,
argument.
No,
That's something we both
no.
agree on that you're
Santa
bringing
Cla-
in.
But Santa Claus is more real than the fake Holocaust.
But why is it fake Holocaust if you have proof
Because
and records?
you don't have
But there
proof.
is-
We have so much proof.
To accept it.
Okay.
How would you silence? You said to mop up. You believe that like Jews should all be exterminated? Then tell me honestly.
No, I don't believe Jews should all
So,
be
so what should we do with Jews if there's no way for them to be good people, like you
I'm
said?
pretty sure this guy right here is. I think
They need to be
he
hot.
comes in and I think he's like part of their little group. And it's so you have a white guy, some type of Middle Eastern guy.
Their power. Take away all authority.
Okay, and do what with them? Put them in a camp in a ghetto?
First, we
Everybody
worry
a
about
Nazi
Americans.
nowadays.
Certainly, they need to be
Left,
removed from
right,
America.
center. Not right, but I mean, yeah, there's some people on the right, but I wouldn't call them right.
Go back.
Ukraine,
What about?
Russia,
So they should be put there, but you would say that.
and, under the
Okay, Jews aren't from Ukraine or Russia or Poland. And let's just say that the Khazar thing was true, which it's not. That's not in Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, Poland. That's far south of that. That's closer to China than it is to Ukraine. And these idiots have no idea what they're talking about.
control of the original inhabitants.
You just said that the Jews have to be kicked out of America.
Sorry.
And that we
You're
should
lying.
control them, take away all of their power, and then I'm asking you,
Yeah,
what's the next
absolutely.
step after that? Right? Do you believe that they should be killed?
No, that's what you're
No,
doing.
I'm asking
See,
you.
the
I'm
Jew
asking
cries
the
out in
question.
pain as he
Why are
strikes
you keep
another.
going to the camera?
The Jew
Why are you
cries
go-
out in
why are you
pain
going
as
to
he
the camera?
strikes another.
The Jew,
See,
like,
the
you
Jews
just said-
are
you
white. They're
Are we
they're
Jews or are we
attempting-
not Jews?
The fake Jews.
The fake Jews now. So are we?
so this
really
is the
fake
point.
Jews?
They'll sit there and they'll say, you guys aren't real Jews. And then they'll go, the Jews do this, the Jews do that, Jew. And then you're like, okay, are we Jews or not? We're Jews when you don't want us to be Jews. Or when you want us to be Jews. We're not Jews when you don't want us to be Jews. We're communists when you want us to be. We're capitalists when you want us to be. We're, anarchists when you want us to be. We're totalitarians when you want us to be. We're, ultra orthodox religious when you want us to be. We're mystic Satanism when you want us to be. Like, make up your effing mind, people. You are insane. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about all of anti-Semitism. This is crazy. Like I said, like capitalist or communist or, anarchist or totalitarian or, we're weak and stupid or we're overly powerful and we have too much money and power and smarts or in control, or we have no control and we're weak vermin rats, or we're not Jews, or we are Jews, or we're fake Jews, or this or that, or we're fucking Khazars, or we're Polish. Make up your mind. You guys are crazy. We cannot be all of these things at once, but that's what you guys do. You say, oh, you're communists. You're trying to turn everything into a communist, or we're globalists, or we're anti-globalists, and we're trying to destroy worlds and split everybody up into different groups. Like, make up your mind.
But I don't know what you're saying because you keep conflating issues.
You're a master educator. I see what you're doing.
Oh, hold on. One of my favorites is they try to say you're Jewish supremacists. And then they'll also say, those same exact people, actually, not just another group saying this, the same people will say, oh, you're trying to make everybody this diversity crap. This is all you. All of this stuff where you're trying to make everybody into, groups and all this diversity crap, that's you. So are we that or are we that? Like, it's crazy.
you're a fake Jew, and that's why you're
And those fake Jews are tricksters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they should be controlled.
God didn't choose your people
And they should be kicked out of America.
Of course. We're saying get out of our country.
And then what?
And then
You
get
said
the fuck out of our
and
country.
You said they have to be
then-
controlled.
I can't tell if that
And
guy
you're-
in the
and-
background
and
is with
then
him.
Pay for your-
What's the
pay for
next
your
step?
crimes.
What's the next step? Can't
What's
you
the
just
punishment for
admit-
treason?
Can't you
Death.
just admit
What's
it?
the punishment for treason?
Tell
Death.
me what's the punishment for treason.
It's a capital crime.
Okay, so all Jews have to be killed.
If they're found guilty
If
of
they're
treason.
found guilty of
But you said
treason,
all
and
Jews
they are.
You said Jews are treasonous.
They are
They are.
treasonous.
So the
Fake Jews.
So what they should be doing is being killed.
They should be
Have you ever been tried
lawfully
for treason?
executed.
Lawfully executed.
ever
Thank you very
lawfully
much.
executed.
Was it that hard to tell me your opinion? That's what I wanted to hear.
Man, all you have to do is do a Google search my name. All Jews
but
are
why,
guilty
why
of
can't
treason.
you be like open about your views that you think Jews should be killed? Why do you have
Because-
to tell me they have to be killed? It took me so long to get you to that answer.
Yeah, okay, he's on his side. He's on his side because he said he didn't say that Jews should be killed. Yeah, I was right. He did say that. And he's looking at this guy.
Say that. He did not say that Jews should be killed.
You just said it right now.
That
So now
no, Jews are guilty of treason.
If you're guilty of treason, and that includes if I was guilty.
Okay, but he just said all Jews should be lawfully executed. That is the same thing as saying killed.
Carrying
And
out
you said
the
those cops,
9/11
people
attack,
like
Every
carrying out
single
the
one of
false
those
flags.
cops, we tell
and you
them
said the people
they're
that do
guilty.
Follow the
treason
money.
should
If
have a
you're
capital
guilty-
Here, how
punishment.
about this? How about this? Here we go. So, every government of one thing. We advocate the.
Put your hands in my face.
What?
Okay?
No, I'm not.
Jews decide, or the fake Jews decide everything. So what are you talking about? Like your ideas themselves, that's where it stands.
No, we don't do anything.
Okay,
You don't decide
who is
anything.
We? Who is we?
You say
But,
we can.
But
we
according
can.
to you, apparently Jews decide, or the fake Jews decide everything. So what are you talking
You see?
about? Like
We
your
just
ideas
we
aren't-
control the world or we
One
don't
thing-
control
Your
the world.
ideas
What is it?
aren't consistent. You're a degenerate liar.
Okay, so now you're.
You can't argue because now
No,
you're just
like,
throwing
it's all
insults.
on
Have a
camera.
conversation.
Yes.
Of course it's on camera. Why are you getting
The fact that it's all on camera is bad for you, buddy.
When you can't actually back up your own ideas, you revert to insults.
Yep.
Why?
That's just what you are.
Well, you being
What
our
am I?
country
What
is
am
an
I?
insult.
What am I?
In alone.
What am I? A Jew. That's you has to
You're
be
a
killed.
fake Jew.
Okay,
You're guilty of treason.
and that means
You're
I should
guilty
be
of
killed.
treason, and
I-
now
you believe
you're,
I should be killed.
Now you're putting your hand in my face. Now,
You
how do you
believe
think
I
it would
should be
end
killed.
if I believe you're guilty of treason? Yeah, you're
I should be
you're
killed.
subject to capital punishment.
So I should be
You're
killed.
subject to lawful capital punishment. It's a criminal bloodline. What? That's it. That's
So
what you
all
are.
of the Jews should be killed because of their
You're-
bloodline.
No, but you will not be
Very
thanking
simple.
us. It's coming for you soon.
Okay. When that comes, I'll be prepared.
No, you won't.
Yes,
You
I
will.
will be.
See, look at this. They want to murder us. They straight up want to murder us. These people are insane. They're crazy. Like, it's crazy. This is insane.
You are.
Thank you for showing us.
Like, listen to that. Look at his face when he says it right here. Look.
But you will not.
Look at his
be
face
thanking us.
changing right here. What?
It's coming
Wait.
for you soon.
See?
Okay. When that
Wait
comes,
for
I'll
it.
be prepared.
Right here.
No, you won't.
Yes,
you
I will be.
You can never prepare.
You know
for
why
God's
we say
wrath.
never
Look at that.
again? Not because it can't happen again.
Come
because
see
we
me in
take
Virginia.
the commitment to make
Come
sure it
see
never
me in
happens
Virginia.
again.
Come see me in Virginia.
I don't really want
Virginia.
Well, then you're not prepared.
I am prepared.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am prepared.
You will. I mean,
I will what?
you will regret the day,
The day
that you committed treason.
When did I commit treason?
You commit treason every day.
Every day by being alive.
All the Jewish people, all the fake Jews, all the Israelis, they're the enemy of Americans. When somebody beneath
All right.
me tells me what to do, I don't listen to you.
No.
Yeah, what a Nazi.
We're all equal. Thank you very much. Intellectually, maybe not.
Hey man, hope to see you again. Hope to see you again.
Let me know.
Oh,
Let me know. The day where Jews are killed is no longer.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy was good there, and I'll commend him for, you know, his I don't know if you want to call it debate or interview, but the real issue I have with Rudy isn't his advocation for Jewish people in the state of Israel. The issue I have with him is his rank hypocrisy when it comes to handling a Christian person in an interview or a Messianic Jew in an interview who's even on his side versus a Muslim who hates him, despises him, and wants to kill him and wants to destroy Israel. There are many interviews where Rudy actively says, "You're my cousin," to the Palestinian protesters. "You're my cousin," to these Arabs who want to murder him, who says, and they say, "F you, screw you, you guys stole our shit. You guys are Nazis, blah, blah, blah. You kill children, blah, 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 blah." and he'll still sit there and be kind, and that's cool. That's great. I have no problem with kindness. The issue I have is when someone asked to interview him. It was a man from a channel I love called So Be It. It's a Hebrew Israeli, or So Be It means amen. Amen means so be it in Hebrew. My bad. But yeah, so it's Messianic Jews who go around Israel talking to people about the New Testament, the similarities between that and the Tanakh, the Old Testament. And they're great. I love them. They're amazing. I'm actually going to be possibly working with them in the future. They're fantastic. I love what they do. But Rudy was asked to be interviewed by them, and I assumed he possibly knew who they were. He asked, do you think, Jews who believe in Jesus have a place in Judaism? And he was like, no. And he's like, really? Or a place in Israel? And he's like, no. And he's like, really? And he's like, yes, no. I think they should learn about their own history. And it's like, but what if they know their own history? Let's say they have a master's or a PhD in their own history. And he's just like, no, nope. There's no place for that here. Like, there's no place for Jesus in Judaism. Like, and I was like, what the? And he dismissed him. And when he would try to get his points across, Rudy would interrupt him. He'd say, no, this, and then he would cut him off and start talking. And he would be mean, interrupt him, cut him off over and over again, and kind of raise his voice at him, and eventually just walked away and said, I have to go. And it was, Rudy then posted a video on his own page. I'll show you it right here. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but he posted a video on his whole page, or on his page. And it says right here, where is it? Jew shuts down Jew for Jesus. That is bull crap. He didn't get shut down. He was proven to be a hypocrite. You, Rudy, if you hear me, Rudy Rochman, this is to you. You are a hypocrite. You are a unnice and rude person. If you're going to your fellow Jews that love you, love the state of Israel, and fight to protect it, and even fought in the IDF, if you're telling them there is no place for them, how is it that there's place for Palestinian people when there's not even place for your own Jews? I do not like you. I used to love you. I find the work you do great when it comes to these things. On other topics, when you're handling some of the Palestinian people, when you're handling some of the crazy leftist protesters or the Nazis, that's great. I love what you do there. But the way you treated him showed me who you really are. And it showed me that your hatred and bigotry towards Christians is so deep because you've only ever interacted with people like that guy. You've only interacted with people who use and twist the word of God to fit their own narrative. But the problem is they twist the Old and the New Testament. But you see them as Christians, and that's the reason they do that. But a Jew can twist the Old Testament. He's twisting the Jewish book, not just the New Testament. It's time for you to stop being so bigoted. I would like you to do maybe some talks with Ray Comfort from Living Waters YouTube, or possibly the best one for you would possibly be Rabbi Kirk Schneider. You can find him on YouTube, and this is a challenge to you. Seriously, challenge Rudy Rochman. I am challenging you to go and have a conversation, and I am challenging you to not interrupt, to not cut off, and to not reject anything based on your own biases. Okay? Go and have a conversation with Dr. Rabbi, I think it's Dr. Rabbi, but yeah, Rabbi Kirk Schneider. You can find his channel on YouTube, and it's called Rabbi Kirk Schneider Discussing the Jewish Jesus, or Discovering the Jewish Jesus. And I would love you if you would go on. I would love that you went on there, had a discussion with him, and did it in a way that was respectful, kind, and put aside all of your biases, all of your bad attitude that you had in a previous interaction with So Be It. And I would appreciate it if you did this to show that you actually have some decency left, because that little interview that you did showed me that you truly hate Christians. And I've seen it in other videos. The way you talk to Christians, you talk down to them, you disrespect them, you are rude to them. And even when they're on your side, you are treating them like crap, and it's disgusting. So all that I give you for the props of all the other stuff, that's great. But you need to wake up and push your bias aside and stop throwing rocks at the people that are trying to help you. Christians are your biggest ally, and you are throwing them off by doing this kind of crap. Alrighty. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I appreciate you guys coming down. Don't forget to go down there, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. Alrighty. I'll catch you in the next one.